Good afternoon, everyone. This is Joe Henches with Beyond the Chart, and this is the stock trade ideas for the week of May 5th, 2014. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to look at 6 of the trade ideas from last week that we exited. And then we've got 4 other trade ideas that we entered last week and that we're still in. And then 2 new trade ideas on American Airlines and Silver Wheaton. So we're going to start off with Apache. Apache was a very nice trade. We got in this around 84.16, something like this, on the 16th of April. We rode it on up, and then as I saw this resistance here that I had identified, this is where we exited half the position. And then we actually exited then the second half here on the 30th on a close below the prior day low here. I still think this has got more upside, but I'm looking to see if it'll, pull back below the 10 EMA and then set up again. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a little bit more of a pullback. And I exited on the, close below the prior day low because it seems like whenever it started to do that it then, like it did here, like it rode very nicely all the way up until it got this close below prior day low, and then it pulled back. So I'm looking to see if that happens again. So that's Apache. Let's see. The next one is 3D Systems. In 3D Systems, we had puts on the 28th, which was right here. Around 49.32 was the entry for buying the puts. And then it opened down here the very next day on the 29th. And we exited. We were targeting this low here, this previous low point. So I exited half here, and I wasn't sure where it was going to run, but then it started to reverse and trade back above this point here, which is 40. What is this? The low 45.29. So I decided to exit the remaining half. Now here's why: because this looked like a potential what we call turtle soup plus one setup. And this is a setup that Linda Ratchke, back in the mid-90s, came out when she had her book, Street Smarts. She had this turtle soup trade and turtle soup plus one. So what this is when you get a 20-day low like in here, and then you trade below that 20-day low, and that 20-day low is more than 4 days away, and you close below that low, and then the very next day you get a setup up here. The turtle soup one is when it actually starts to trade back above this point. You can just enter and buy. The turtle soup plus one, which is actually what this ended up being, because this closed below this point and then it turned around the very next day and traded up above it. So and whether this really goes any further, I don't know, but I saw this and said, okay, I got a profit, I'm going to grab it and I'm going to exit. So that was the deal on 3D Systems. Okay, the next one is First Solar. And First Solar, we were looking to buy calls on the 23rd. That's back in here on the 23rd, because we got a couple closes above the 10. I thought this thing may run and break this trend line up here. We got in right in here, and then this started to trade down. Okay, and then as soon as let's see, I'd moved my stop in here around 67.52 and we got stopped out. Okay, so that's where we exited, right in here, 67.52. And, that was about it on that trade. The next one is SoFun, which did not turn out to be a whole lot of fun. This was on the April 22nd. We got in right in here, right around 14.20 or so. Thought it was going to run again, breaking this trend line, and then all of a sudden we get this reversal. It pulls back down. Now, I had a 2 ATR stop, and the 2 ATR stop was all the way back down here to 12. Okay, so the mistake that I made, well, 20/20 hindsight, and we always have 20/20 hindsight, is that I got a new sell signal that would have actually called for an entry on the at 13. That's where I should have exited instead of waiting on my stop. I should have exited right here at 13, and I chose to wait out the stop, thinking that maybe we were just pulling back to this trend line. Well, we got more and it pulled down here, so Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So that trade did not work out very well at all. And the next one is Seagate Technology. And Seagate was one where, let's see, we entered on the 25th for puts to go south right here. And I can't remember, I think it was right around where I've got the cursor, right in here. And the mistake I made on this trade is that I moved my stop too soon. Okay, after 3 days, I moved and tightened my stop. Whereas a 2 ATR stop in this case was around 56, and it would have kept me out of the noise of this big, this bar here, which was the day after earnings came out. Okay, earnings came out on this day, on the 29th. This day, or maybe it was before the market, I can't remember which. And then all of a sudden we got this big volatility. Well, I had tightened my stop to 55.07. Well, the high was 55.23, so we got stopped out of the puts. And then look how it's just continued to sell off, and the puts would have worked beautifully. So in this case, it could be that we tightened too soon, or it could be we just got caught in the noise. So either way, the trade didn't work out. Stopped out on Seagate Technology. All right, the next one is Xilinx. Let's see. There we go, Xilinx. This trade was beautiful. Okay, we got in on this day, on the 10th, with puts. And then on the 24th, okay, as it broke down, we had this little bit of this congestion consolidation going on here. And, we kept holding the puts. And then as it broke down here, my initial target was around, 49 3/4. Well, it opened. And so right at the opening, or very shortly after the opening, I sold half the position for a very nice profit, continued to sell off. And I had this head and shoulders target. Based on this, looked like a head and shoulders to me, okay, with this downward slanting neckline. And so I ended up exiting the second half here on the 28th at 46.5. And that worked out great. I mean, it's been, Friday it closed 46.37 and we exited 46.5. So it was very nice. Okay, and all the details again are on the Trade Ideas webpage. So we're of these 3 trades, we're 3 wins, 3 losses on them for that set of trades. And let's see, the next trades that we got into, the next 4. Goldman Sachs. And Goldman Sachs on the 28th, which is right here, we bought puts, and I think it was right around in here, 156.33 actually. So we came down. I was targeting this previous low as at least an initial target. I thought we had one more move down, and I still think we might. But we've had this little pullback in here. We got really close to being stopped out on Friday, but it didn't, and then it reversed all the way down. So again, it's another one of those situations where it starts approaching your stop and you get really, really nervous, and you just got to hold your stop. And sometimes it'll work and sometimes it won't. In this case, it worked beautifully. And now we're sold off, kind of a reversal on Friday, and we'll see whether or not we get any follow through now. And you can actually sit here and draw a trend line in here, and if it breaks that thing, it's gonna go. So that's Goldman Sachs. And then Las Vegas Sands, here we go. Las Vegas Sands, we got in on the 1st, right in here at 79.59. It was the entry point, and so we've got calls, and so we're holding. We got Doji Day here on Friday. I'm not quite sure what to make of this. We've got the 10 crossing above the 21. The casino stocks were acting very, very strong on Friday. Actually, this whole sequence in here, they all started catching fire. And so we're long there. And on MGM, we also did the same thing. We got long here on Thursday at 25.35. And again, this is kind of, it's tough. I mean, now this is nice because it's breaking a trend line, okay? And I really like that. And now we're getting the cross of this moving average. But again, really nice move, big move that it had here on the 29th. Now, and I say it's tough. It's tough because sometimes you're kind of bearish on the market and you're thinking the market's going to roll over, but you got stocks that are sitting here giving you some buy signals. Well, I'm trading stocks. So if enough of the things line up in terms of the indicators line up and giving me bullish divergence, and I'm getting closes above the 10, and and we're starting to get this kind of a move, and we got the where we're looking like we're breaking the trend line, this is bullish. This is a bullish scenario. Now I think it's got at least a chance to get up here and retest the high. So we'll just see. We'll see if we can kind of trail a little stop up there and ride it. And the next one, let's see, the last one from last week in terms of trades we got in was Yahoo. And we got in Yahoo on the 1st. And let's see, that's Thursday at 36.25. So just right about in here, just this low point. Started to move pretty nicely and then backed off a little bit. So it's up about 62 cents or something like that from the actual entry point. We got calls in here, and again I think we went pretty much June across the board with these new positions. Want to make sure we give them some time and don't want people to jerk with us on the time premium, that type of thing. And so this could be an interesting setup. I think we've had on Yahoo, I think we've had 3 waves up, and then we just, I think, did an ABC 4th wave correction. Now, the thing about corrective type moves, you just never really know when they're going to end, because sometimes they can get very complex on you and they just keep doing some new corrective type action. But what I'm looking for and hoping that it does is come up here and break this trend line and then go. And so we're looking to break the trend line to the upside. That's what I'm looking for. All right. Now, two new trade ideas. American Airlines Group. This is interesting. I just started following this last week. And we've gotten a couple closes above the 10. 10 just crossed above the 21. This has only been trading as a new issue here since the whole post bankruptcy and merger that they had since December 9th. And I'm now thinking this is a possible Head and Shoulders consolidation formation. And we call it consolidation because it's a sideways type of move in a potential up move, and so we've had this one. I wanted to point this out real quick too, is the retracement in here. If you go to the high and you pull back, the numbers are off just because of the way the chart's set up, but this is a 50% retracement line. This is a 61.8% retracement line. So it's retraced almost 50% of this entire move, which is a good target for a first pullback, a wave 2 type pullback. So it's, in my mind, achieved a decent type of pullback and could be ready to go. And we've had one in a little pullback wave 2 here and ready to do a wave 3 in a wave 3 and break this trend line. So that's what I'm looking for here on American Airlines. And again, what I'm looking at in terms of an entry point, and the options are on the Trade Ideas webpage. And the last one that we're going to talk about today is Silver Wheaton. Where are you? There we are. Okay. Now this is one where, again, we tried this once before where we got this close and we didn't get an entry point. So I'm trying it again because we're back above the 10, and I don't know whether this is going to go or not, but that's why I have entry points slightly higher than where we're at with this trading, because I want it to prove to me that it does want to go to the upside. And sometimes you get caught in little swings, that's true. But the thing that's interesting here is you've had a good little move here on Silver Wheaton. You've got the 55 above the 233 day. Okay, so it looks like it's trying to bottom. It's pulled up above. Now it could, there's no guarantees just because that's happening, but I'm looking to see if we can't get a little pop to the upside here. It broke this trend line here. Okay, if you look at this trend line here. Okay, so it's broken that trend line, which is fairly, slanted down trend line. So It's not as flat as you'd love to see it, but it does mean that potentially it could be turning. So that's what I'm looking for. So that's the last trade today. That's it for the trade ideas. And again, get access to the Trade Ideas webpage. Simply subscribe. It's put in your on the forum on the web page there on the home page or right below the post, and just first name and your email address, and you'll be good to go. So everyone have a great Monday, Tuesday. I will talk to you again Tuesday evening. This has been Joe for Beyond the Chart. Thanks for stopping by.